God of my salvation. Because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come it on. Rastaman throw one stone, and it break a bad feeling to all wicked men. That's a people there. Make a man throw one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when man like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rob and cheat, and not verse the poor. Make up what I seen to. Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a block! Make him a throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, they didn't can sell out Rasta and sell out Babylon. Big man show and spoon, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Big man show and spoon, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. If Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see, they can sell out Rasta and sell out Babylon. Yes, come on, that's right. If I show and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black big man throw and stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. You have eyes to see, let them see. You have ears to hear, let them hear. What a prophet must say. President Mandela was in prison for 20 odd years. And he leave from the prison and take the seat of the president. Stone one, big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a black big man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Rasta man show one stone, and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Too long in our little ghetto, run keep going on less process. For children of Israel do really love right. Justify and I as a watching man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. What wrong is going on? Day or night, we gotta pass down Babylon walls. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for jumping. Let's go. Fight down, war cry. Fight down. He said Rastafari. War and cry. And do that righteousness that we love. I will love Jaja. I will love Jaja. And we love Jaja. We love Jaja. We love Jaja. Put time away, put time away. Listen, yeah. Just as lion, I have to watch a man around Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel. I should never hold thy peace, but we penalize. Hey, oh, night. We gonna pass down Babylon gates. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for Rastafari. Fight down, war and fight. Fight down, war and fight. Rastafari, war and fight. And build up righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Rastafari. We love God. And we love Jah. Me love Jah. Me love Jah.
The job of the Minister of Finance has become tantamount of abuse of the elderly. It was hard to watch this evening. The football kicking of the minister from left to right, up, down, bounce her on the wall, bounce her. It was disgraceful. And if you were not there to watch, you're going to have to watch it with us because we're going to roll back the cameras. It was entertaining. It was heart-rendering. It was pitiful to see the abuse of the elderly right in front of us on camera. What is FAVAL Williams doing to herself? And what is Andrew Holness and the Jamaica Labour Party doing to FAVAL Williams? Even the disgraced Xavier Main, who is toppling the Integrity Commission just like his minister, was sitting in the Standing Finance Committee this evening. Member, all of that was going on this evening as well. We may have to just adjust our program around and look at the NHT and HAJ tomorrow morning, because the whiffing and waffing of the Minister of Finance, poor old bloody thing, Esmeralda Thornton, was in the hot seat this evening. It was heartbreaking. Heartbreaking to watch the abuse of the elderly. Good evening. Welcome to Global TV. Thank you all for joining us, to my community party and all my family members, platform moderators, membership holders, viewers, subscribers, commenters, and trolls. Good evening and welcome to another rocky pitch. None did over Parliament. If we never over Parliament, you all have to come down the road with us. No. Because we want you to see the whiffing and waffing. The whiffing and waffing of the Minister of Finance. PNP had her by the balls this evening. And the $150 million is really what they are afraid of the minister answering questions about. So we're going to roll back to the Finance Standing Committee, where Lady Esmeralda took to the hot seat. And my God, Angela Brown-Burke had a rant this evening as well, because Juliet wants to do this chair, the standing committee, from the speaker's chair, which she ought not to. She ought to come down to the lower chair. And Angela Brown-Burke ranted her down. But the showstopper for the evening was a poor old lady. And we're going to get straight into the poor old lady because there's quite a bit of it. And the PNP were asking her quite some questions that she was, as always, not quite capable of answering. Hold on, more and get the Angela part first. Where it start from? Bear with.
The committee is now ready to start its deliberation. And the House Leader has indicated how we will proceed. Minister of Finance.
Thank you.
Marshall.
No.
Just entertain the breakaway, my peeps. It's entertaining and depressing at the same time to watch the abuse of the poor old woman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Is it working?
Even
Madam Speaker, I was sitting here.
Is not quite on our side.
And I know that I have been here for quite some time. But I thought that this was a committee meeting. Am I good? If that's a committee meeting, are you in the right seat?
Listen to Juliet excuse.
Member, in committee, you can and usually come down. Based on the volume of documents that I had on my desk, I decided to sit in the same place. However, I would be spoken to as chair, not Madam Speaker. At this
Poor
time.
excuse. Even though Angela Brown mic off, she's gonna go on a rant.
Member, if you notice, the maze has been lowered as well. So we are in committee.
Madam Chair.
FAVAL performance was poorly. Poorly. How we're going to get anywhere as a country with this finance minister? I don't know. I really do not know. But it is pitiful to see our finance minister in action. Really pitiful. As I said, it's tantamount to abuse of the elderly now. A desperate.
Members, I have completed my preamble. Minister.
I'm a member.
Globalist, can you hit the like button
to
for me,
commence,
please?
members.
Members, I would remind members of the Standing Finance Committee that to have a smooth process, that we highlight the part of the budget that we're asking in relation to, and that we proceed.
Minister of Finance, you should commence.
Thank you.
Minister of Finance.
That's one Tiefin Xavier. Tiefin Xavier, sit in our standing finance committee.
Check, audio check.
Madam Chair.
Nobody's like can share the light before we start cussing on her. On temptation is so.
Minister of Finance.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Listen, it's all started here.
By now, Madam Chair, everyone knows that the Jamaican economy was significantly impacted on October 28th by Hurricane Melissa, which made landfall in Westmoreland. According to the PIOJ,
it's free to sell on eBay.
It's free and easy to sell
on eBay.
Let's go, no rest.
Yeah, we'll put it
for next.
I'll sit over there then.
The part where the advert chip out one never hear, and then so Juliet tap her and tell her so she can't hear her. You know the usual problem what Juliet have with FAVAL when FAVAL talk. Minister, it's difficult to hear you, Minister. Dear old
Madam
Minister.
Chair, are you hearing? Madam Chair, a little bit. Madam Chair.
Madam Chair.
Go ahead, Minister. A little clearer.
Madam Chair.
Madam Chair. Madam Chair.
By now, everyone knows that the Jamaican economy was significantly impacted on October 28th by Hurricane Melissa, which made landfall in Westmoreland. According to the PIOJ, there were several impacted parishes: Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, St. James, Hanover, Trelawney, St. Anne.
Nobody can open one basic school of Parliament.
The preliminary projection for real economic growth for fiscal year 2025-26 now stands at minus 4.3%, a decline compared to 2.2% at the time of the original budget. Nominal growth is now projected to be minus 0.2%. As a result, the central government's second supplementary estimates for fiscal year 2025-26, which was tabled on Tuesday, October 21, 2025, must now be significantly adjusted for the impact both revenue and expenditure on the budget arising from pre- and post-Hurricane Melissa matters. Whereas the second supplementary budget was projected to be in balance, the preliminary assessment is for the central government to now generate a fiscal deficit of 3.5%. The debt ratio is now projected to increase to 68.2% of GDP for this fiscal year. Having said that, Madam Chair, the government remains committed, even more so during this crisis, to prudent fiscal management. And with those opening words, Madam Chair, we will take any questions.
Hey!
We will end up having to operate in the same way. If you are not finished speaking, please do not turn your mic off. That way, we go
the mic
one by one in the order in which your mic was turned on. Are we clear?
Mic instructions.
Member Robinson, go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have two procedural points.
Oh, sorry. My apology.
Madam.
Yes, I have two procedural points. One is a question, the other is a statement. Has there been significant changes to the supplementary since we approved it just now? And if so, could you walk us through what those major changes are? Because document has been put here, which seems lengthy, and it's important before we proceed that you let us know what those substantive changes are. So that's my
Thank
first
you.
question.
Thank you, member. So yes, there are some changes. There are some amendments to the third supplementary estimates. Those amendments include head 20,000. There was a typographical error in title on pages 20,000-1 to 20,000-8. The error should be corrected to read third supplementary estimates 2025-26. There's also an amendment of $747 million for the special end-of-year constituency-based disaster mitigation program to support urgent works such as drain cleaning, debushing, debris removal, and minor repairs, and these were inadvertently allocated on the head 15,000 Office of the Prime Minister. The Standing Finance Committee amendment shows the $850 million allocated to head 19,000 recurrent Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development to be utilized by the NWA as follows: National Cleanup and Resilience Building Program, $630 million, and Targeted Responses to Urgent and Emerging Needs, $220 million. The third amendment is $1.7 billion.
Minister of Finance, I note that a member is holding up his hand. He's having the same challenge that we are having.
Yeah, following where
This
you are.
amendment
Yeah.
is difficult to follow.
Follow is very difficult to
So
follow.
what would have been good is either we go in order of this amendment document, or all of us will have to sit and number it page 1 through, so that we know from whence you speak.
Yeah.
Madam
The
Speaker,
sections, the
are
heads that have several
Are there
sheets.
no notes on what you have?
No.
No,
So
okay.
so those heads that have more than one page of amendment will show the head and page 1, 2. So as in head 20,000 has -1, 2011 1, and then nothing after that. 26-1, 2600-1, and then 2659-1. But it is hard to follow for the members because the entire amendment document is one composite document without pages. So we may have to pause and all of us number our pages at this time, but in future it would be good for the Ministry of Finance if we have a bulk of amendments to have, before it's printed, the page numbering at the bottom or top of the document so that all of us can follow.
Can we copy this?
Yeah. So we can match back with the explanations.
I mean,
This
Madam
is
Speaker, we don't want to be difficult, but quite frankly, no, I'm saying it really is difficult to follow without a written document.
Absolutely reasonable.
It's one click
so members, let
on
us
your
all
computer
just
when you
number
have
the
to prepare a
pages
document.
that
It's
we have
one
received.
click on your
That's this amendment
computer
document
that
in the
number
interest
the
of time.
pages.
The top, right?
And Minister of Finance, in referring to major amendments,
Madam
would now
Chair.
refer to the page by
Madam
number.
Chair, Madam Chair, just to note, the heads are at the top left-hand corner.
That's not the challenge, Minister. It is because you have started to give explanation as to major changes. You started in the middle of the document at finance, but for all of us, we would have to be shifting through the document to try to find where you are. And it would be faster if the pages were all numbered, so you could refer to the page number, and it would allow all members in the committee to quickly go to where you're speaking from. I think we have about 14 pages, so everybody could just quickly number them.
In these big departments, the people them who do speech writing or document writing, they also have proofreaders. There's proofreaders amongst them. Even if you don't have a proofreader, your Word document in your computer have a read aloud tab that reads back the document to you. Because sometimes when you read the document where you write, you probably don't see the mistake. But when the proofreader is reading it back to you, as in the proofreader on the computer, you can hear
So we have
whatever
14
mistake
pages in
that
total.
was made
And in order to
grammatically
ensure
or
that the Minister of Finance is able to
punctuatively.
speak from anywhere within the document, if we have all numbered the pages, then Minister of Finance, you can direct us to the page number as you go through your comments. Thank you.
Then if stop keep coming to Parliament with these unfinished, unprepared, ill thought out documents. It just shows how the people across the civil service don't, because these people, these technocrats are the one who is responsible for the writing of bullshit. And Jamaica technocrats, them seem to be dunce, because there are always these hiccup in our parliament of simple grammar, punctuation, and all different sort of gimmicks where we pay these expensive bureaucrats and technocrats. And then when they come to parliament, somebody else in there have to correct it. Why are we paying these people and what are we paying them for? Who we pay them for? Sharon Bernard, good evening. Welcome. How are you doing? Why are we paying these people to be unable to do anything? People are getting job because of and because of favoritism, color, connection, friendship, front, back, and all part, but not qualification. And these are the reasons why we end up in a little simple galang in here. Because people will qualify for the job, now get it. But friends and associates and bendovers normally get pushed in these positions and they don't know what they might do. How much time they will get corrected in the parliament? The technocrats in the civil service, them not much better than the dunce politician them. They really no any better. Because the same nonsense keep coming up over and over. These people go through the academic drill. These people who do these papers, they have up to their masters and doctorate. Most of them have above their bachelor's degree. And common mistake like numbering a document, the pages of a document. Common that. It's just one click on one click of a button in your tab and it number every page of your document. And to the owners have to tell them, say, they need to do that. Look how much time now is wasted on the nation business to do something that we have already paid bureaucrats and technocrats to do.
Madam Chair.
So what ended the fun?
Madam Chair.
Yeah, the hope of Madam Chair is in my move on.
Madam Chair.
Hold a moment, please,
Are you
Minister
deaf?
of Finance, just a moment.
Are you deaf? Move on. And stop calling out the human name. Hope of Madam Chair a minute. Are you deaf, ma? She hear you when you call the first time. So you have to keep repeating yourself.
Minister Malou for it, member.
The thief in Marlene. The Marlene where wholeness through under the bus. What a disgrace to a country. Be a hobnob. Andrew, remember the uptown people them say, a butu in a Benz is still a butu? Andrew? And that, you gotta go to parliament in a butu in a Andrew. And since you come there, with parliament turned so butu. With parliament was more, it was roady, but there were intelligent people there. But from you take over with the hope of inches and features where you come with, the hope of synchronized thinkers where you come with Prime Minister, the whole heap of dunce like our George Wright, we spent 5 years in a parliament and never open him mouth till he come out of parliament and want quarrel over Melissa aid relief. We never hear George Wright mouth for 5 years. We pay George Wright millions. Never hear a word from George Wright. The George Wright want quarrel over Melissa food. A big bagger. When the Prime Minister ready for getting a temper, people have to hold him and buy him and in check with and he answer. Which party ever say government galang, sir? Even when Siaga they tell us that they don't go down on him, he don't do it in a very subtle, intelligent way. Look what I do to FAVAL. Can't tell someone they don't like old people. Can't tell them the labor rights don't like old people. Because the woman has struggle, you know. We don't set up the woman for struggle. We don't set up the woman for feel. So Juliet, if you take time with her, take time with her. Uno did left in a position where never couldn't find anybody else, and Uno couldn't find better. So if you take time with her, Uno put her in that position. Me not think a same thing where she did wish on herself I really want to do. So if she help Uno out, Uno can help her out too. It's heart rendering to see the abuse of the old woman.
Members, we are back. Let me apologize for the interruptions. Just a reminder, before we go ahead, two things. Number 67 in the standing orders, page 42, supplementary appropriations bill. Just a reminder for all of us, where a supplementary appropriations bill is presented in accordance with section 116 of the Jamaica Constitution.
Now, remember Andrew winning case, you know.
1962. Then the debate on the second reading thereof shall be strictly confined to the matters for which additional expenditure is required, and when the question thereon has been agreed to, the bill shall not be committed, and the question that the bill
lady of
now be
instructions
read a third time shall be put forthwith without amendment or debate. So
the
particularly
wholeness is resident.
pointing out additional
The lady of the
expenditure
house
is
speaking.
what we should be discussing at this time. Another point to make, Minister, in the House, the chair of the PAAC pointed out certain concerns coming from the PAAC meeting in his report. He would have also sent it to the Ministry of Finance, and he is hoping that in our discourse, those issues raised would also be attended to.
FAVAL no fi ungo go on a yard Renis in figure wash
It would have been
in
sent to the
white
Ministry of
calico
Finance
nappy.
yesterday, so you could indicate if
And
you
that
are,
FAVAL
and you
age and
actually
slowness
also
do.
acknowledge
In
receipt
white
at
calico
Finance.
nappy
I'm not
with them
sure
big blue or pink
whom at
baby pin.
Finance. So FS Minister, you could speak to that. And if not, Minister, you may want to have the team still take a look at those concerns in the event that assistance is needed in being able to respond to those issues coming from the PAAC report.
What I tell you, FAVAL is a waste of time. Poor thing.
Madam
Total waste
Chair,
of time. Sorry, fair.
I am being advised by the FS that she's not in receipt of the questions.
Let me allow the chair of PAAC, Member Bunting, go ahead.
What I will just assist, the committee clerk had sent the draft report of the PAAC to the Ministry of Finance. We in fact got feedback from them. And to assist, I have here an extra copy of the report and the 6 points I highlighted in my opening contribution to the debate on the motion to facilitate. I'll share this with the officials.
Thank you, Member. So, Minister of Finance, you may commence. And my understanding from Member Bunting, who chairs the PAAC, is that incorporated in these deliberations and discussions, he would love to be able, for the benefit of all, to have responses to those areas raised from the Ministry of Finance.
All right, Madam Chair, I will start with the amendments to the third supplementary estimates while my technical team looks at the questions that were raised.
Captain, definitely we're having a problem with the mic.
I know the mic had the problem. I FAVAL throat.
So, Madam Chair.
Just accept it the way it is.
That is better.
Madam Chair, I'll begin with the amendments to the third supplementary estimates. Just to note that on page 6, there's a typographical error in the title. On pages, the head number 20,000-1 to 20,000-8, and the error was corrected to read third supplementary estimates 2025-2026. On page 4, Madam Chair, Office of the Prime Minister, 747 million for the special end-of-year constituency-based disaster mitigation program to support urgent works such as drain cleaning, debushing, debris removal, and minor repairs were inadvertently allocated under head 15,000, page 4, Office of the Prime Minister. The Standing Finance Committee amendment
I think they're still trapped in the JBC and
the
RJR in
850 million
Osgold.
allocated
It's still
to head
in a JBC and
19,000, which is
RJR.
page 5, recurrent, Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, to be utilized by the NWA as follows: National Cleanup and Resilience Building Program, 630 million, and targeted responses to urgent and emergent needs, 220 million. Madam Chair, a third amendment relates to $1.7 billion transferred from head 20,000 if you'll go to page 6, head 20,000, Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, Hurricane Melissa contingency, to the head
Oh, Paul, help the
40
aged man. Help the aged. The older
2,000.
man need help.
Ministry of Education, Skills and Information. Sorry, let me go that again, Madam
Oh, no, we say
Chair.
we have to
Sorry.
record history of it, because we didn't take them pen and rub you out.
1.7 billion
We
was
want to still
transferred
keep it.
from head 20,000, and you'd see that on page 6. Head 20,000 is the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service, and that was
Oh, man need
transferred
help.
to head 42,000, which is the Ministry of Education, Skills and Information, and that's reflected on page 13. And that is to be spent.
Minister, it says head 41,000 and you're saying 42,000. Let us just confirm. Minister of Education.
You know, some people need to smoke some weed.
1,000.
Or she don't want to smoke, just drink some weed tea and make something jump out of her. The people too shy and reserved. People need some weed. It chat like a parrot. You need some weed, favor, to make it chat like a parrot. So, or even some rum. Anything, favor.
That's correct.
Anything
That's correct, Madam
that
Chair.
will
It should be
make something just
41,000.
jump out at
Ministry of
you.
Education and Skills, and that will be
Load of
reflected
work with
on
that.
page 13. Page 13. Yep.
Since you're on that point, can you just indicate what the additional amounts are for? Is that for repairs to schools, etc., arising from Melissa?
Yes. Yes. Hurricane Melissa relief and response. Ministry of Education.
I know colleagues will have some follow-up questions specific to areas in their constituencies and schools, but I just wanted a broad answer as to what it represented.
Raymond, you know, easy, you know. Lord God Almighty, look what Jamaica end up and the world
Madam
are
Chair,
one.
amendment
I wonder if the
number
world will
4
employ favor like
would
how
be
they employ Nigel.
$280
World!
million for the Ministry of
And
Culture
minister,
for
yeah.
hurricane-related
I don't know which one of the
expenditure, and
answer
that
be
will
the
be
favor
reflected
for
on
red
page
hands,
14
finance,
of the
or
report
big
that you have.
hands.
And there's $91 million to head 22.
Judgment!
Should best start with the page number.
And the minister.
So persons can get to the page
Page
number
14.
that you're speaking from, not say it at the end.
You know, I would really,
Please go
with
to page
all my
14,
opposition
Madam
to
Chair.
Juliet Holness, I would have preferred
There
the
you
Prime
will see
Minister
the
to
allocation
put
of
Juliet Holness in
$280
the
million
finance minister
to the
position.
Ministry of
Because I think
Culture
she
for
would have done a
hurricane-related
much better
expenditure.
job.
And then finally, Madam Speaker, on page 8, you will see 91 million to head 22,000, which
If I
is
that
water,
did a
environment,
favor,
and
if I
climate
that did it,
change for administrative expenses. Amendments to other heads are mainly reallocations requested by the MDAs.
All right, thank you, Minister. Before I go to
Hold
my...
on, member. Repeat your last statement, Minister.
Repeat your last statement, Minister.
The last sentence you said,
I
amendments.
said amendments to other heads are mainly reallocations requested by MDAs. Within MDA.
Ministries, agencies, and departments.
Thank you, Minister.
Debbie,
Minister, before I go to my substantive
questions,
I would also like to highlight that going forward, the report from the Independent Fiscal Commission should be tabled at the same time that the supplementary is tabled. I know you have done so today, and I see it as one of the table documents, but it's important for our own analysis of the supplementary. And I know it's not required by law for you to do so, but for good governance and transparency, that we have it at the same time as a supplementary going forward. So we can have an independent analysis of what you are presenting to us. In terms of my...
Member, just to note that that report, when asked for, it was sent to Parliament within a day or two.
I know, no. So I see it as a table document today, but I'm just saying going forward, when it is sent to you by law, and I'm just asking if we are, for future reference, when you table the supplementary, that you table it at the same time. So we have the benefit of it prior to it being tabled now. In terms of the substantive question.
Bear with us.
Terms of the loan to the JPS, could you indicate what those terms are in terms of the tenor of the loan and the interest rate? And I ask within the context of a concern that consumers will have about being charged higher bills to facilitate the repayment of this loan. So that's my first question.
Well, remember the terms of the loan to JPS is 5 years at 5.5%.
Can you indicate which government agency is the official agency providing the loan?
Ministry of Finance and the Public Service.
Or the ministry directly? Okay. There was, related to JPS, there was a figure of 450 million US, not in the supplementary, but part of the overall loan package that the international financial institutions were providing, a part of the $6.7 billion. Could you provide some clarity as to what that 450 million US allocated or earmarked for JPS would be used for?
So member, the Ministry of Energy could give you further details, but in essence, this facility would be available to JPS, as they had indicated that there was a need for additional funding, where we would like for the 150 million that was allocated to them as a loan, for that to come back to us out of this facility, but all of that is left to be worked out.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, we have provided an upfront loan of 150. The international financial institutions have made a provision of 450 million, which JPS can draw down on and use that to repay the government the 150. Is that correct?
Just so you're aware, member, it's not something that is in place yet, but contemplated.
No, I know. That's why I say earmarked and not definitive. But it's important to understand what it is earmarked for and what is the thinking, because obviously there would have been discussions between the government of Jamaica and the IFIs around this facility. And since the figure is there, we just want clarity on it.
Very, very preliminary discussions, member.
Very preliminary.
But you take up
so when will you be in a position? I had asked you at the last sitting to provide greater detail in terms of the 6.7 billion. We know 2.4 is private sector mobilization funding, but the direct government of Jamaica borrowing, when will you be able to tell us specifics on that in terms of the amounts from institutions, interest rates, length of period to pay, whether there's moratoria, etc.? When can you provide that to the House?
The Bible hard to read and English literature FAVAL figure read.
Last week, and as you can imagine, with these kinds of facilities. There are many conversations, many rounds of meetings to happen. We are in the early days following this announcement, so please allow us some time. Obviously, government has to look at its priority projects. It has to look at the timing of those projects. There is quite a bit to be worked out, member, which would not be possible to bring to the House in a week.
Okay, I understand that, but would you be in a position to say when? And I asked that within the context, you have made projections around our debt to GDP ratio, moving up to 68% and moving higher. I assume those projections would account for what you anticipate that you intend to borrow to deal with the gaps that arise from the fall off in economic income activity and taxable income.
George, you have budget put within our back.
68% debt to GDP that you referenced, member, is what we're projecting by the end of this fiscal year, which will be in another 3 months. And all, if not most of that, is primarily due to the decline in the GDP. As we look out in the medium term, that's where you would see reflected any drawdowns on these facilities that have been announced.
So no new borrowing for this fiscal year up to March 2026.
So in this fiscal year, member, there is a little bit of borrowing, but not enough to move the needle significantly.
All right, since you have not finalized the arrangements, is there a contemplation to negotiate within these facilities? There is a specific climate provision, and I think Barbados has piloted that, where in the event of a natural disaster, that there is a waiver of suspension of payments of interest and principal. We don't have that. Is that something we are going to do going forward, given that we haven't finalized the negotiation of these facilities?
Those are conversations we've had specifically with the president of the IDB in particular and with representatives of the World Bank, but to be finalized.
And then my final question, I've highlighted a number of times the chronic underspend of our capital budget. I know efforts have been made to address the procurement issues. There was a reallocation of $2 billion in this particular supplementary away from the capital budget. Can you indicate the specific steps that are being taken to ensure that we can, in fact, spend the allocations that are provided within the budget and within the context where there is such a great need now in this rebuilding exercise to have capital projects executed on time?
Well, for this fiscal year so far, member, as you would probably know, we did have a hurricane, and that would have slowed some of the capital spending that we have to do for this year. But in terms of going forward and the reconstruction efforts that would need to be underway, you would have heard the Prime Minister talk about the National Recovery and Reconstruction Authority, an entity to coordinate the work that needs to be done for reconstruction.
She has a husband, and I think she has a daughter.
An entity
also.
That's supposed to be
But I know she has a
in
husband.
terms
She's
of
a married woman.
its efforts and its coordination. So there's great expectation that as we go forward, that you will see, a better utilization of the capital that needs to be spent, especially for reconstruction.
Minister, you know very well that the...
I'm sorry, it's the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority.
No, but we know the problem of under expenditure on the capital budget is not specific to Hurricane Melissa or Hurricane Beryl. It's certainly for the last 4, maybe 5 fiscal years, we have had significant under expenditure. Now, is it that you're suggesting that NARA will be able to operate more efficiently and effectively than normal central budget and normal central government and the MDAs? Are there revised procurement guidelines that will be available to that agency so that they can actually spend the money?
Okay, Debbie says she have 2 daughters. I didn't know about one of the daughters.
So for the National Reconstruction and Resilience Authority, we are expecting that it will
So
operate
Mr. Favor,
under
to go to pin
emergency
Favor would even know if
rules,
it change
but
Pampas.
also that it will have the ability to engage significantly
August
large
diaper would have
companies
confused
to
your
help us
Favor.
in terms of having a faster pace at the reconstruction.
All right, thank you. I'll turn it over to my colleagues who have other questions.
Thank you.
Member Bunting is first, and then Member Hilton.
Thank you. Minister, a number of issues were highlighted.
Member Bunting, hold on a moment. Member Hilton says he has a procedural question. So could we allow him to go ahead of you?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair, I wanted to, we were told that 3 ministries, the focus will be on 3 ministries. My question then is, for the other ministries for which there may be questions, is the Ministry of Finance the appropriate body to direct those questions to?
They are here based on what House Leader had said. So the other ministries are here who will come and answer the questions in respect of those 3 ministries, separate and apart from the Ministry of Finance.
Okay, good.
So both, 3 ministries in all. So
yes, outside of the 3.
I'm wondering if we would want to invite in everybody at the same time. So, or right, because it's outside of this.
The 3.
Outside. Oh no! So yes, the Ministry of Finance procedurally would be required to answer any question that comes up outside of the 3, because we indicated, the House Leader in discussion with the opposition, that they only had questions for those 3 ministries and moved that we release them. So they would have been released and they have gone back to the ministry. Right. That's what I understand to have occurred. Yes. So they would not be here. If the Ministry of Finance is able to answer any questions that we have for any ministry outside of that, they may. However, one would want to be understanding and possibly find a mechanism to get some written responses if we have questions for other ministries, to be fair to them.
Yeah, but you know,
follow up?
No, I hear. I just think, given the nature and the times that we are having this.
Given the nature and all of that, we should not have made a decision collectively to release them. We were all in favor, so you may not have heard. So we sent them back to their substantive work. Member Bunting.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Minister, in the report of the PAAC, we noted that the fiscal policy paper was tabled more than 2 months late, in clear breach of Section 48E of the FAA Act. Would you explain why this occurred? This was before Melissa, so we can't blame Melissa for this one. It was due by the end of September. Could you explain why this occurred and what is the corrective action being taken to ensure it does not reoccur? That's the first question.
So member, um, there were intervening events. As
Which one is
you
it?
may recall, there was an election. And
That should.
then right
Hello.
after we came back
Hello.
into government, we had the hurricane. And so those events
But Minister, with
influence.
respect,
Listen.
I don't think the financial secretary and her team were campaigning in the election.
Precisely the
So
point.
that doesn't provide an excuse
Man,
for why they
that
did not
you
have.
not here for me grabbing and jaw you around and around the house this evening. Don't start. No start it.
Member Hilton?
Maybe me have to go grab in your collar and jaw you around and around the house. So no start it.
So I'm advised by
An
the
election, she
FS
says.
that the FPP
To
fiscal
blunder.
policy paper interim requires policy decisions. So it's not something that the it's not something that the technocrats at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service can finalize by themselves and bring to Parliament. They just had to wait until the new government was in place, with ministers assigned to ministries, and ministers had to come in and get used to their.
Oh, so if
to
Mark
their
Golden did
creed.
win, I would have Mark
So
Golden them
that
fault then.
explains it, member.
Sorry, go favor.
There are other concerns that were raised regarding, for example, the inadequacy of the allocation to the Ministry of Education, which I have seen amendments now, which has quadrupled the allocation to the Ministry of Education in these amendments that you've just tabled this afternoon. So when we come to OPM and education, members of the committee will further interrogate on those issues.
So member, there is an allocation to the Ministry of Education that would take them through the end of this fiscal year. Look at the fiscal years ahead, there will be even more significant allocation, right? In this budget, there is about 1.3 2.3, right, with the amendment, there will be 2.3 billion in this budget. Right, but it increased to 2.3 billion. And in subsequent fiscal years ahead, there will be significant allocation.
Yeah. Member Crawford is next, going from Member Hilton's procedural question as it relates to the supplementary estimates, where there are additional questions, Minister of Finance and FS. The members are asking that every effort be made to respond, because there are, in keeping with what I read earlier in terms of appropriations bill, the right to ask question in respect of any increases. And therefore, as much as is possible, it is being encouraged to respond to the increases wherever they may be. In the event that we are not able to respond, then we would provide a response at a later date. But every effort should be made to respond. Member Crawford.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Minister, the loan to JPS of approximately 23 billion Jamaican, is that in addition to the 45 million US dollars that they received from the self-insurance?
Yeah, member, the 150 million is a loan from the Ministry of Finance, and it's a loan from the government, operationalized by the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service. In terms of their insurance payments, that question would have to be put to the respective ministry. I don't have the, Okay, from the OUR. It has nothing to do with the loan. It's separate from the loan.
So that is separate from the loan.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right. So in addition, all right. So the JPS loan that was given by the Ministry of Finance, do you have the current interest rate that was agreed to?
5.5%.
5.5%. Are we correct that the projected rate of borrowing that the government can achieve is approximately 12 to 15% projected?
I'm sorry, projected based on what? 12. Can you
Well,
explain a little bit more?
yeah, the documents that we have seen suggest that if the government was to borrow, the interest rates that they'll likely be able to achieve was approximately 12 to 15%. Is that correct?
Absolutely not. Significantly lower.
It would be significantly lower. Do you have an estimate of the rates that the government would be able to borrow?
The average rate, member, and if you look at our debt profile publication, you will see that it is in the single digit range.
Yes, so can you give me a better understanding? Is it 3%, 7%, 8%?
She don't know what she fit tell you and she don't know. You idiot? You man can't tell you what she don't know. So move
member,
on. Ask something else.
Member, as you can imagine, our source of financing, there are different
Man, just
sources
tell you
of
don't know, no?
financing.
And
You have the
move on.
commercial market, commercial market local, commercial market international. You
Put your
have
jacket up on your
our
top.
international partners, and in each of those, the rate would be different. International partners, very low single digit. Domestic market, single digit as well. International market, single digit. So
And
if
the
you were to
easier
average
answer,
that
FAVAL,
across
I
the
don't
entire
know.
portfolio, it still comes back to a single digit number.
Yeah, Madam Minister, single digit can vary from
1
0
to
to
9.
9. So I'm asking if you can give us a
Or from
ballpark
0
or
to
range
9.
of where the average interest rate would be.
Lord Jesus, receive me this evening. I don't
So, member, just to direct you, there is a publication that's done. It's called our medium-term debt management strategy. This one goes from fiscal year 2025 to 2026 to fiscal year 2028-29. And it goes in great detail about the loan portfolio. And as I flip through the pages, you will note that let me get to it.
Somebody can find it, switch pan FAVAL and turn up our volume. Just search around here for the find where they switch there.
All right.
Otherwise, we're
if
going to
we
blame
look at
China.
our
We're going to blame
domestic
China to make FAVAL
interest rate,
without switch.
it's about
Jesus. This evening, Pan Esmeralda, dry up in your face and look, Yama. Oh, God. Look on the abuse of the elderly. Right on camera, you know, in front of the world, and not to be in front of Jamaica, where it would even look so bad.
member, it goes anywhere
The IMF
from
watch.
a low of 3.3%.
The Caribbean Interdevelopment Bank watch.
8.5%, depending on the
World Bank
instrument
watch.
and the market in which we borrow and the currency.
All right, so thank you, Minister. As it relates to the 3.6 billion US dollars, approximately, that's what, 500 billion Jamaican, is any portion of that to be in this supplementary budget?
and leave the woman alone. Juliet, Juliet need to chase you off of FAVAL this evening. Jesus, you know, Sister FAVAL want help this evening. Hmm? FAVAL want help.
Oh, none of that is in this fiscal year's
None of
figures.
that is in this fiscal year. If I can go back to the 24 billion for JPS, how would that impact the liquidity and the ability to implement projects going forward this year into this budget?
How would that impact the government?
Yes, the housing, the water, the food packages, the removal of that 25 billion in a loan to JPS, how would that impact the budget's
It
ability?
does not. We have ample liquidity to manage what we, set out to do this fiscal year.
Okay. What's the estimated impact of this 3.6 billion on the debt to GDP ratio moving forward?
So if you book up FAVAL per road, when nobody this is comedy. If you book up FAVAL per road and nobody you can't ask her a certain question then.
We're not gonna take everything on our books all at once. We will be very careful about the drawdown on these facilities that are available to us. As you can imagine, these facilities are to enable us to do big projects that would add to the GDP growth. These projects are going to be over 1, 2, maybe 3 fiscal year.
Yes.
So there will be a time frame over which these loans would be
It's
drawn
abuse
down
of
as
the
the
that you don't
projects
believe me.
So
play
considering
themselves
so first question, did the Prime Minister misspoke when he said that over 3 years we'll be doing the drawdown? Did he misspeak?
The announcement, the headline
Really?
announcement was 3 years
Yes.
from our international partners. But remember, it's going to depend on the pace of government.
So it might not be
Alright.
3 years.
It will depend on the pace of government.
Okay. So do we have any estimate based on different scenarios over 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, what will be the impact on the debt to GDP ratio?
We've put forward.
You see, if people on the side of FAVAL, just nobody asks her nothing, you not get nowhere.
So in our fiscal policy paper memo, we have put out some estimates of
Yes.
where the debt to GDP is expected to be after we hit the 68.3% this year. We are expecting recovery, as we've seen with other disasters. If you look back on Beryl last year, within 2 quarters, we were able to begin to see economic recovery. I'm not saying within 2 quarters we will see that with Melissa, but there is expectation that GDP will begin to grow again. And together with the capital spending that we need to do and the drawdowns, those have been worked into the estimates that we put out.
Can you give me that estimate or is it available?
Right. So we have some preliminary estimates in this medium-term publication as we concretize the projects and we know the life cycle of the projects and we know the drawdowns. Those will be reflected.
Globalist gonna hit the like button before me quarrel now.
But these are
Don't
our
turn bad stuff.
preliminary estimates that we lay out in the fiscal policy
Not bad,
paper
just like
interim report.
FAVAL.
And at its peak, what is the debt to GDP ratio based on your estimates? What's the peak debt to GDP ratio?
Damien, leave the woman alone.
68.3%.
So after the addition of the loans, we expect that the growth would be sufficient to maintain a debt to GDP ratio of 63.8%.
68.3% at the end of this fiscal year 25-26, by the time we get to the end of it. And then as we go forward, we're expecting recovery in our GDP. We are expecting projects to pick up. We're expecting economic activity, and you can see the trajectory for our debt to GDP in these papers. So we're expecting to begin to see a decline again in the debt to GDP.
So based on your estimation, over the next 5 years, the debt to GDP ratio should not be greater than 68.3%?
You can make more than a mark with a Sharpie. Create. Think in color with Sharpie.
Very contentious to the poor old woman. And she said the woman a sweat and a struggle. And still a badar. Xavier made him so shame. He can't utter a word. He's so dunce. That FAVAL can't turn to him for ask him nothing.
All right. So, member, over the medium term, in terms of real GDP growth, we're looking at
somebody open a basic school of parliament for me, please.
3.1 fiscal year 2027-28.
FAVAL will be the first student to book in.
And 1% fiscal year 2028-29. And that's the real GDP growth. Obviously, nominal GDP growth would be different numbers.
So our estimation, if we take the full sum loans,
Yeah,
are
right
that
now, the
rates of growth of
with
3% or less will
education
be able to
people,
keep us at 68.3%?
They just don't try over her with the education.
No, we're not going to be kept at 68.3%. With the hurricane this year, our estimation that we will end this fiscal year 2025-26, which comes to a close at the end of March of next year, that when we look at our debt to GDP, then it will be in the range of about 68.3%, primarily due to the decline in the GDP.
Okay, let me correct my question. Are you suggesting that it's going to be 68.3% or lower at rates of growth of 3% or averaging that 3%?
Yes, we're expecting it to be lower, member.
Okay. Now, we have also seen in the fiscal paper that there's a target of 60% by 2030. I figure you'll be taking that today as well. However, have you done any estimates on the level of surplus that we'd have to sustain to achieve that?
Right,
well,
so
globalist, as bad as she's
preliminary
performing, she's getting millions
estimate,
for it.
To achieve a 60%
But about two
debt
sorry
to
for all people would
GDP
have put fire in the
would
chair
be
where she
by
sit
the
down,
end of
man.
fiscal year 2029-2030.
Do you have an estimate of what the surplus levels would have to be?
PMP, I use up the entire year, because they know they don't have it nowhere else. They know when Joe get back in a Mr. Thomas post chair.
So, member, as you can imagine, as we move forward, we will have greater clarity in terms of the growth from the various sectors that have been decimated by the hurricane. We'll have greater clarity about agriculture, about tourism, about the business sector, just about growth in general. But sitting here today, we have to look into the future and give our best estimate. Those estimates are subject to change up or down as we get greater clarity in terms of our growth rates, as we get greater clarity in terms of the projects requiring spending, and as we get better clarity just about the needs coming from the ministries, departments, and agencies.
Okay. There was enrolled in the grand announcement of $6.7 billion.
This is too much now.
A private sector
This is too
loan
much.
of
You're not a
$2.4 billion.
prosecutor.
I think US dollars. I think MP from where Julian is from again, Southeast St. Andrew, had asked the question: is this dependent on the appetite of the private sector for loans?
I would say yes, but also
that's why I must stop answer you.
Recall that there are many projects that government may need to get done, that it could enter into PPP agreement with the private sector and so on. So it's government and the private sector working together in terms of the priority for that part of the loan.
And I don't think I got the answer. Is it dependent on the appetite of the private sector, or is it something that government can also participate in?
Damian Crawford.
Right,
in the name of
right
Jesus
at this moment, it's earmarked for the private sector, but as I'm indicating, there are big projects that I know government would love to get done that it could do in collaboration with the private sector. For example, it could be structured as a public-private partnership.
So in the case of a public-private partnership, is it that the private component is the only part that can come from the 2.4 billion, or also the government's involvement can come from the 2.4 billion?
The 2.4 is for the public sector.
Is for the public sector?
I'm sorry, for the private sector.
Oh, God.
So if there's a public-private partnership where the government is spending $1 billion and the private sector is spending $1 billion, can the government also benefit from this 2.4, or only the private sector component?
Remember, at this moment, the 2.4 billion would be coming from the private sector arm of the multilaterals.
So essentially the government can't participate. Now, the Prime Minister have indicated that there were previous projects before Beryl.
Don't you think Damien is too hard on her?
Were the previous private entities, and didn't they already identify capital if there were previous agreements?
Minister, if you could, I'm sorry, member, if you could add a little bit more color to that. I don't know exactly what it is that you're talking about.
In the House, the Prime Minister indicated that they were likely to take up the loan because they were previous projects that were in train. Wouldn't those previous projects already identify capital, or would those previous projects would have just been sitting in limbo without any identification of capital?
Damien, me never left my grandmother in a year here.
I think while the member does have some latitude in committee, which I think he rightly directed his questions initially around things like interest rate and loans. I believe, I believe now he's going a little bit outside
No, we not
of
go outside.
what we're
Him
here
and
to
nail the
discuss
nail them
today.
in the
Not to say
right
his questions
hole.
aren't
Huh?
relevant for another space and time, but not for this supplemental budget exercise.
Somebody,
So I
somebody
would
there.
ask the member just to bear that in mind.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm going to come back inside and ask my final question.
Like Burger Minister for jumping.
Where were you, member?
I was outside.
Where were you?
I was outside, so I got to come back inside. There was a correction made today with a movement from the Ministry of Education from 616 million to 2.31 billion, 2,316 million. Was that a correction of a mistake, or was that a conversation
Very
that they had
serious now,
post
man.
the
Too serious, but it's
PAAC?
comical.
Okay, yes, member, we had provided a contingency for Melissa, and it was out of that that allocation was taken for the Ministry of Education. Once we determined what it is, they could spend during the financial year. We had to. It's a transfer of the funds, you know, based on their assessment of their need.
You turned off your mic by mistake, member Crawford? If you are finished, the next person is
Juliet, enjoy the
who has
beat.
been waiting patiently. Is member Noel?
Juliet, enjoy.
Thank you, Chair. So, Minister, what I want to find out is whether the increased allocation to the Ministry of Education is the correction of an error, or it is a fresh allocation based on new information post the PAAC. Yeah, but the answer wasn't. The response was not.
Oh man, Newell, this seemed to be another bright one, you know. It's Mr. for the poor granny. Favor, what should I do home? A pin Kellogg and nappy and a careful the pin not get in her finger or in the baby hip. Favor in a parliament.
So, member,
Daily I read basic school book.
there's an amount that was put into the contingency fund in finance specifically to finance those requests, those Melissa-related requests when they come in. As you know, well over, I think the number is about 160 or 68, 168 or so schools were damaged. The Ministry of Education had to send out their assessors to assess the damage. We knew that they would come with a significant request, and so that allocation in the contingency would be taken out at that time when they come, you know, with the size and the quantum of their request.
So is it that ahead of the tabling of the supplementary last week, this information was not available because it was not placed there? So it suggests that it is either an error or new information came in. I'm not clear what it is. So was it just a placeholder last week?
So I'm advised by the FS that the details just was not available at the time of preparation of the document.
Okay, so you used the best figure that you had at the time.
We used it, right. And again, the amount that's set aside for Melissa contingency was the account out.
No, I'm clear on the set aside, Minister. What I wasn't clear on is the significant difference that would have, which I welcome, because 1 million per school was way inadequate.
No, that was just for cleanup.
15,007, Minister. I want to direct you there. And page 4 on the revised, the amendment. Last week at PAAC, we had asked for an explanation on the 848,400,000, which the supplementary budget said was additional requirement for the Constituency Development Fund. And we were unable to place it in terms of the information we have where the CDF is concerned. Your revised numbers indicate that 747,400 of that have been moved to the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and infrastructure development for implementation of the special end-of-year constituency-based disaster mitigation. That leaves $101 million, which I'm assuming the remark and classification remains, which is additional requirement for the Constituency Development Fund. Can you explain?
All right, I'm advised that the 747 million for the special end-of-year constituency-based disaster mitigation was placed in head 1500, which is the office, 15,000, which is the office of the Prime Minister, but it was inadvertently allocated there. So it has been transferred since then to head 1900, which is the Ministry of Economic Growth and Infrastructure Development, to be utilized by the NWA as follows: National Cleanup and Resilience Building Program, 630, and targeted responses to urgent
more money for Andrew to play with,
220 million.
Which leaves a balance of $101 million. Can you indicate what that represents, and whether it's still under the classification of additional requirement for the Constituency Development Fund?
So, member, instead of 747, it's now 850.
Well, what I'm seeing, Minister, on page 4 of your revised document, I'm seeing 747, which was revised from OPM. So I'm trying to get an understanding of the remainder.
You don't know. Just so you don't know. I don't know. Yes, no. They're the 3 easiest way of answering questions. Yes, no, or I don't know. FAVAL. You can't answer questions, so you know. I don't know. We now go carry your gallus. First, you don't know. Because nothing we are talk about it, you still don't know about it. And we not carry your gallus. As much as Damien carry you to the cross just now. And Flight Green help take you down. We not go carry you to the cross. If you don't know, you don't know. And everything you're going to know. And by the way, you don't know nothing. So we not go hold you guilty if you don't know. Because we know so you don't know nothing. So we will go work up ourselves over if you still
we
don't
have
know.
to get an explanation for that
Man, go on, yeah.
1 million from the office of the Prime Minister. I don't know.
Thank you, Minister. In your presentation last week, you said already our international partners have indicated that within that package that's announced, there's about 450 million for JPS. And what that will do is allow for a loan of 150 million to be repaid back to us so we get back the liquidity. Minister, would you agree that just based on the questions asked earlier and the answers that you have given, that statement is premature and the loan is at now speculative at best?
What do you mean by speculative?
Meaning the loan is not there. It depends on JPS and the multilaterals working out an agreement for that loan to become available.
We've given or undertaken to JPS?
No, Minister, I'm speaking specifically.
As gold, this is not the ordinary session of Parliament, so Juliet cannot interfere so much here, so as she interfered when she depend the chair. This is a committee that scrutinize the work of the cabinet, or the work, mainly the work of the government, them scrutinize. So even though she a chair it, she don't have the interruptive power that she have when she operate as the speaker.
So I quoted you from the Hansard, where you said the 450 million, what that will do is allow for our loan of 150 million to be repaid back to us. I'm asking if that was accurate, or if you will accept that that was a premature statement.
It was a statement that we believe will happen because
We wish along with you, Minister. Thanks.
What? I'm sorry?
You say we wish along with you, you're deaf?
I never said we believe will happen.
I'm going to take you one call remote can open.
So member, you have no idea
About what? About what? We don't have no idea about. We don't have no idea about FAVAL.
Member, let me say, member.
Stop calling member. In here the first member.
Member, just let me say,
In here the first member.
Since the announcement of this 150 million US dollar loan to JPS, you would have heard the minister talk about what it will do in terms of just ensuring that we have electricity island-wide over the next 2 months, which is significant. Otherwise, persons without would have to wait for a much longer period of time. And I just want to say to you that there are so many persons who called me to say how very proud they are of the government and the ability of the government to be able to extend US $150 million to our electricity company. I can't think of another time, another government, certainly not on your side, that would have been able to do this.
Of course, they're part, you know. I would never know.
Member from Eastern Westmoreland.
Aquarius, just
Chairman Mike.
Yeah. Minister, just to follow up on that, despite the fanfare that is going on. Minister, if JPS is requiring $450 million so that the good people of Eastern Westmoreland and elsewhere can receive can receive electricity, and currently from what we are aware of thus far, the government is willing to lend 150 out of the amount. Yes? Of the 450, the government is willing to lend 400, 450, government is willing to lend 150.
Well, 350, whichever figure it is. Say 350, the government is willing to lend 150, but they require 350 so that all the persons that are currently affected can get back light.
You ask the question, you know. Ask the question.
What is the sum that is required by JPS to restore electricity to all of the persons who are currently affected?
So the Minister of Energy has just indicated 150 million US dollars.
So that means that the $350 million is to restore and?
Those are details that we don't have. JPS would be the entity that would answer those questions as to the details of any loan that they take on.
But I'm not sure, Minister, that that is what we were presented with in this house. We were told that JPS required $350 million and that the government would be loaning $150 million. That is what we were told. Has that number been revised?
So the minister has indicated US 150 to restore by the end of January 2020.
You said that already.
Somebody not telling the truth. Somebody not telling the truth. You can I said, who is lying? I asked the question. You can decide whatever the answer is.
Minister, this is not as easy as just a soapbox moment. This is not a political soapbox moment to just say 150 you get back light. It's not. What we're talking about here is also the finances of the country. So I'm saying I need to know when JPS did their estimates, their assessment as to the damage from the devastating Category 5 hurricane, what is it that is required to restore electricity to all of the persons that were affected? That's what I need to know, because previously we were all of the impression that that was 350 million. Then we heard it being revised upwards to about 400 million. And now we are told that only 150 million is required to restore electricity to all affected persons.
All right, so member, please put your questions to the Minister of Energy in the order, the parliamentary order, and he will respond at that time.
Chair, just to follow up on that, It is an important question, because if 350 million is the figure that is required, and they have received 150, it would leave a shortfall of 200. Now, if JPS is currently in a predicament where the license that they have to operate, they currently have no guarantee beyond another 2 years, and their entire revenue that they will earn over those 2 years is less than the 200 million, then it would mean that some further assessment would need to be done prior to making a loan of 150 million US. It makes a whole heap of sense. Yes, they want light. Yes, they do. And that's why we need to know how much to give them light. We need to know how much to give them the light that they need.
Hold on, member. The JPS is not a government entity. It is not a ministry agency or department of government. Hold on.
I'm holding.
And so, member, while you can ask questions as it relates to what is in the budget and the supplementary estimate, to ask how a business plans to be able to finance and execute.
I wasn't asking that.
The remainder of the money needed to restore us.
No.
To restore us of the Minister of Finance would not be appropriate at this place and stage.
Madam Chair, you are accusing me of something that I did not do or I did not say. Hold on. My concern is that my government, yes, is lending from taxpayers' money 150 million US to JPS. I need to know, right, if that is a wise financial transaction that my government is undertaking. I have a right to know that. The answer to that question is not just that the people want light. The answer to that question is not just that the people want light. Right? No. If it is that they require 350 and their license only has 2 more years on it, then any prudent individual is going to think twice before they lend them the money because they have no guarantee to continue operating beyond 2 years.
All right, member,
So
hold
on
on a
what
moment.
basis
Member,
did the finance ministry
Member.
take a decision to lend the 150 million?
member, hold on a minute, please.
So, madam,
put those
madam,
questions.
oh,
I'm just saying.
Members, please,
Please.
allow Member Green to
I
speak.
implore
He's
you,
on-
member.
Finance Minister, a moment.
yeah, Madam Speaker, just to say, Chair, this matter was raised in the House and was fully ventilated. Madam Chair, the Minister of Energy gave a comprehensive statement on this matter. The questions were asked. I made this point to make. We are not saying that there can't be further concerns, but we have to remember what we're treating with now. Questions have been asked about the loan and have been answered. The other questions would have to be directed to the Minister of Energy, right? Would have to be questions in relation to would have to be directed to the Minister of Energy, and I will.
In the UK, there are more than 3 million lost pensions. At AJ Bell, we're on a mission to reunite you with
Information that was shared by the Minister of Energy in his statement, and his information that questions, the same questions were asked. Same questions.
So what? And we still not get no answer for them, so we're gonna ask them till we get the answer. Idiot boy.
So, members who have your mic on, could you turn it off so I can allow, some deference to the
I thank you
opposition?
very much, Madam Chairman. This matter is a matter for the Ministry of Finance, especially because the minister had promised further details, because when the presentation was done by the Minister of Energy, we did not have the details. And it is quite rightly put, because it is going to be in this budget a provision for 23 billion Jamaican dollars that the Ministry of Finance is lending to a body corporate on the basis that that would be some part payment for the complete sum that is to come somehow for the restoration. So if the Minister of Finance is going down the road to lend this money, the Ministry of Finance ought to be able to say that they are satisfied that the full money for restoration will come, or else it is just your loan down the wicket. And I think it's inappropriate. Right. So unless minister, you are going to resile from the 350, which I don't know how you can credibly do that when we were told that it's 350. So the question to you, Minister, is: are you satisfied that it is only 150 million US that is needed to restore all the electricity, especially from the members' constituency of East, Westerland, and so on? If there is more needed, is the minister satisfied that that more will be coming, and from whom? Because, Minister, the direct question to you is whether or not the government of Jamaica will be footing the entire bill of 350. And that's a question. No, it is a fair question. Huh? What is, yeah. Is it,
Minister of Finance.
Darrell Vata mad out, yes. A question the
Members will have to be
So
quiet
members,
to allow the
rub him
Minister of
out.
Finance
If
to.
I did him in the
I'm
chair, this
going
people
to
the
We
thing they
will
are
have
break
to be
out.
quiet to allow the Minister. We will need members. Could you allow the Minister of Finance to respond? Hold on now.
Juliet not like the role here, you know, because she fasting. She can't bully people much in this here role here, you see, so she fasting when she there, so. Like she tangle up in a bar wire. But may I tell you, it's a sad state of affair for Jamaica, especially given the current circumstances of the country. And the woman who hold the country's purse cannot
Members,
answer
are
a
you
question.
interested in coming back to committee meeting?
Hmm?
For those who are outside, are you ready to come back in?
Cannot answer a simple question. Hmm? The rebels mash up the whole place. So you know what?
Members,
The question
remember
about
the
even
others
come
of us
water.
would like to continue our meeting.
But she lose her bully power. She lose her bully power. Whoa. She want to go back up on her high chair.
Madam Chair.
Members, yes, I think the minister, of Finance was trying.
The Minister of Finance would love to respond.
Madam Chair,
If we would allow the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Finance would like to respond. Members, would you be so kind as to allow her to speak? Member Campbell, Member Vaz, before that, please.
So, Madam Speaker, thank you. There are obviously many questions that the members have, the details of which I am not able to give at this moment. As you said earlier on, JPS is a private entity, and I would implore members to come with their questions, to ask those questions of the Minister of Energy at another parliament when he's able to answer in great detail all of those questions. What I can say is that the request that was made of us at the Ministry of Finance and the Public Service was for a loan of 150 million.
Okay, so then
US
just ask the
dollars.
loan and you get where you don't want to know nothing
And you
else.
would have heard the Minister of Energy say that that is for restoration by the end, restoration minister, by the end of January 2026.
God help Jamaica. Because we're in a bad spot.
90% by the end of December 2025.
Yes, we do have some additional questions, members. Please just get back to the sitting. Member Hilton, you're first, then Buchanan, you're next.
Minister, considering that the Minister of Industry is not here today, And following on the question I posed earlier, there are two questions I want to have answered. On page 53003, page 5300, the MSME support and development, that's what it's titled. Madam Speaker, I see that the additional sum of 60 million is being voted on today. The approved estimate is almost $1 billion. When I read the narrative, it speaks to salaries and allowances of employees. I'm wondering how much of this almost $1 billion is actually for the development, support and development to the MSME, other than the administrative personnel. 5303, the page 3, 5300 page 3. How much of that is for the MSME sector to do the operational aspects of them and provide for the MSME?
A member, I don't have that allocation, that detail right now. I would have to ask the Minister of Industry that question.
And could you, while as you ask, just for clarity, ask whether the $10 billion that the Development Bank announced is a part of the overall package addressing the needs for the MSME sector, and in what sense is that, if that can be detailed in the response. My next question. Okay, my next question is on page 5, 5300 page 5, the Special Economic Zone Administration. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, and to you, Minister, I see nearly $1 billion, well, in excess of $1 billion allocated for the SEZ, the Special Economic Zone. In the breakdown, I'm seeing that 197 million, almost 200 million of that is for fixed asset and capital goods. When was could you explain, Madam Speaker, Madam Minister, the allocation?
Hurry up, man, hurry up.
Nearly.
Here to no lie attack.
Nearly 300 million, 250, 229 million additional. And what is that additional sum for that was not in the first supplementary or the budget itself, the previous budgetary allocation? What is that amount for?
The amount of time FAVAL waste this evening, with copy taking and whispering.
Member, that's a good question, but my technical persons do not have the details of that. So this is another of those questions that I believe would be appropriately placed to the Minister of Industry.
Okay. All right, I'll catch him down the road. All right. Okay.
Anthony Hilton said we will catch you down the road. Lord Jesus,
Member Buchanan.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
One sweet piece there now.
Madam Minister. I'm just asking for your undivided attention because I know there's a lot of distractions. This question is one where I just need to know if you satisfied yourself in relation to the loan
as to whether or not any extension of the license to acquire this said loan of 450 million to JPS was a consideration for you? Did you satisfy yourself before awarding the loan whether or not there was an extension, and as well as that whether that extension allowed JPS to possibly acquire the additional sums? It's not the. It's not the. It's not the. It's her.
FAVAL search. Hold on, the Andrea Parliament, I make a statement. Hold on there.
Hey, David.
So, member,
no, I just
what we've concerned ourselves with is the 150 that is needed for restoration. But just to say that the electric, the 150 was not linked to any decision about the license. The 150 was intended to ensure that there's accelerated recovery of electricity across the island.
All right, thank you for that. Minister, I know that you are well aware that this house is a house of record. Now, for clarity, several things were said about what the $150 million would do. Today, I heard that it would restore, the 150 would be, I'm not going to say light after light. I'm not asking that, please. It would certainly restore energy by February, but end of January, in the middle of February, end of January. Let me extend it that far. But however, that doesn't account for the remaining sums. So you have said that you have granted the loan simply for the restoration, but to what amount?
Well, you heard the Minister of Energy just recently.
No, I actually, as I said, Madam Minister, this is a house of record. The minister made no statement on any mic or anything that was recorded.
Okay, so let me repeat what I heard the minister said, and that he said, and he said it several times in Parliament and outside of Parliament, that the 150 million is dedicated towards restoration of electricity across the island by right, by January 2026.
All right, but Madam Minister, Madam Minister, the question is about whether you satisfied yourself. So I'm asking because when the minister spoke in this parliament, he indicated that the 150 would have been to restore light in general areas as fast as possible. That was what was said. This is a house of record. And I'm challenging anybody to correct me on that, because those were the statements that was made. And so the question, my simple question is whether or not you satisfied yourself as to what exactly the 150 million is for, because it is your ministry that has distributed that loan. So that is what is of importance, and I'm asking for a response on that.
And so, member, we did satisfy ourselves. We did satisfy ourselves, just to answer your question.
Thank you for that. My final question. Your projection of 68.2% of your GDP. Can you say what is the reality of our GDP now? Your assessment for you to make the projection. Yes.
So our projection for GDP growth by the time we end this fiscal year is that we would see a decline of 4.3% by the end of this fiscal year.
She don't know what she's talking about, you know?
Madam Minister, I didn't get the benefit of your answer. Not so. No, I didn't hear.
So what you need to put FAVAL upon Titi. Make sure suck little longer, see if her tongue can and her voice box can get like a chill. Or not send FAVAL go cry. Send FAVAL go cry.
Thank you, madam.
Are you comfortable?
I didn't get the benefit of the answer because the mic is quite low.
Oh, that's
what my difficulty was.
Member Buchanan is asking you to please repeat because the mic is not functioning so well. It's very low, and he didn't hear your response.
Why is something wrong with FAVAL mic alone?
So can I ask the member to repeat the question?
Why never get parade?
Asking you to repeat. No, Madam Minister, I simply asked, what is the reality of our GDP now, post Melissa? Not I know what the projection is, but what it is, what is it now based on your estimate?
Well, the only number that we have for GDP would be as of the end of the third quarter. All right. The fiscal, as of the end of September, which is that's the only number that we have.
Minister, I get member Buchanan to be asking if our projection is 68%, our last actual information, what is that percentage based on what was actual?
Thank you, madam.
So our last debt to GDP figure would have been the debt to GDP at the end of fiscal year 2024-25, and that was 62%.
You don't know why they don't want to leave the old man alone, Debbie? You don't know why they don't want to leave the old man alone?
Thank you, Minister. Madam Chair, thank you.
Chunk of bite out there. And since the flesh never dead already.
No, before page. Okay. We have one more question from Member Dawes.
This is one you know make FAVAL sound like she cry.
Minister, we're getting about 3.6 billion US dollars, mostly in loans, not grants. We have hospitals, clinics, schools, houses to fix. We have infrastructure such as roads and drains to fix. When the minister gave his presentation about where that $150 billion would be going, and let us put it in perspective, this is $24 billion. Sorry, 150 million US. 24 billion Jamaican dollars. He said that the restoration would be done by the end of February, January, as opposed to April, May, June. No. What is the opportunity cost of bringing restoration of electricity wait forward by 3 to 4 months, $24 billion to move restoration forward 3 to 4 months. What is
Listen to the answer to
the
that and tell
opportunity
me if
cost?
I not
What
cry,
are we
favor or cry.
sacrificing? What are we sacrificing for $24 billion to be spent so that we don't wait 3 months for restoration? What can that $24 billion do when everything else that we're borrowing, it is going to come at a cost for interest rates? Who made that determination that 3 months of earlier restoration is worth $24 billion at a time like this?
I can tell
So member.
Minister of Finance, Minister of Finance, once the noise continues, once the noise continues, it doesn't make sense for the minister to even attempt to respond because we can't hear.
The opportunity, member, hello.
Tell me if I not cry, favor or cry.
So member, so member, hello. So member, if member, if our hospitals, so exactly, so member, if our hospitals.
Time is of the essence, and I would like to hear the Minister of Finance response. And this type of behavior is not of any use to any of us or the public. For Minister to be heard, we have to be quiet. Could you all stop?
So,
Minister, please allow the Minister of Finance to respond, and for us to close this segment. There is more work to be done today.
I would love you to ask the patient that is waiting for a life-saving operation, to ask that patient, what is the opportunity cost of $25 billion? Ask that patient.
I chase him, you know.
Members, if there are no other members, please, this is not how we conduct the House. If there are no further questions, Minister of Finance, would you be so kind as to wrap up this segment? Member from St. James.
In a parliament.
Central, West.
A debate.
Member from St. James West Central.
In 7
Would you be so kind
of operation
as to allow the member from St. Catherine South to respond first, and then you go ahead. And there is follow-up from
Globalists. We're going to leave it here for tonight. We're going to leave the disgrace here for tonight. But we will look into what Andrew Holness and him Zozo is about. And then we will talk about that tomorrow morning, as well as we will look at what we wanted to look at tonight, was the violations of building regulation by the National Housing Trust and by the Housing Agency of Jamaica that Hurricane Melissa exposed the soft underbelly of the scam by the National Housing Trust and the Housing Agency of Jamaica that has been run on the Jamaican people. Particularly, we will look at an estate in St. Elizabeth, Brompton Manor. And as a precursor, you can also go on Lot 1 Boys and look at that video that we're going to talk about tomorrow morning. It's a disgrace to Jamaica building regulation to see what the NHT is doing. So you can check out the video and Lot 1 Boy. Because I can't play a lot of these vloggers video anymore because they must strike left, right, and center. But go on Lot 1 Boy channel. That video is on their Brompton Manor Estate or Brompton Manor Housing Scheme or whatever it's called in Brompton, St. Elizabeth. And you will see the shamble, the $13.5 million scam that the NHT carried out on middle-class Jamaicans. Thank you very much for being here tonight. We were in the theater. Certainly a bit of theater this evening, but it was quite a play with emotions running here, there, and everywhere. Because if you're someone who cares about the elderly, and if you're someone who cares about the abuse of the elderly, then you would understand the different emotions of this evening playwright in the Jamaican Parliament. But thank you very much for being here. And do join us back tomorrow morning when we will look at whatever grumble the Prime Minister came out this evening and grumble, because it would be too much this evening for the Prime Minister to join the choir that have just sung. But PNP, put fun and joke aside, uno wicked too, uno go on like uno care about vulnerable people, and look uno just abuse the old man. In PNP, all of it just uno so no care about the elderly and the vulnerable. And look how uno just abuse the poor old man. So we're not afraid I hold on. Anyway, globalists. Me not have body for take the lick them when me see FAVAL get like a while. So me I go on for my rules for now. Because me not have body to take the lick when we see the Minister of Finance endure this evening. Them the lick of the big people. Them the lick where FAVAL get this evening of a big people and of a people like me. So anyway, thank you very much. And good night. And if you don't pass FAVAL lay down a road, just wet her with little water or knock one old kerosene pan over her head. All right?
God of my salvation. Because the mouth of the sinful and wicked is open. Rastafari. Come it on. Rastaman throw one stone and it pick a bad feeling to all wicked men. That's a people day. Make man throw one stone and it bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Only when my like Marcus Garvey speak, wicked men would I hear. Hear now hear. Instead of that, they only sit aside and rub and cheat. And now first of all, make up what I seen to. Take him and throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Oh, what a drop! Take him and throw and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. My favorite part, if Rasta make a progressive move, wicked men are red. How they want to see the them can sell out Rasta and sell out Babylon. They give and show and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. They give and show and stone, and they bring a bad feeling to all wicked men. Too long in our little ghetto, run keep going on this process. For children of Israel do really love right. That's why I as a watching man, I run Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace. How long is going on? Day or night. We gotta pass down Babylon walls. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for jumping. Let's go. Fight down, war cry. Fight down. He said Rastafari. War and cry. And do the righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. And we love Jah. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love people. Put time away, put time away. Listen, yeah. Just as I and I as a watching man, I run Babylonian walls. Oh, children of Israel, I should never hold thy peace, but we penalize. Day or night, we gonna pass down Babylon gates. Prepare the way. Prepare the way for Jah Rastafari. Fight down, war and fight. Fight down, war and fight. Rastafari, war and fight. And build up righteousness. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. And we love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love more. And we love Jah. Jah. Me love Jah. Jah Rastafari. Me love Jah. Jah Rastafari. We love more. Me love Jah. Jah Rastafari.